being a minority in Singapore, starting a business, it's challenging. I've been the subject of racist comments. I don't do business with Indians because I think they are a snake.
Wow.
But you are an exception, like a backhanded compliment. But otherwise, I always wanted to be in the medical field. I really enjoyed helping others, creating an impact in people and their lives. I guess doctor was the default because my grades didn't quite make the cut. Going overseas to study was not in the budget. It was crazy. It was crazy. I came in, zero experience. I took on another part-time job. So I worked back to the hospital.
Wow.
3 days a week. I did it for 6 months. Very low pay, but allowed me to pay my rent, put on the table, and I saw clients for free. I saw clients for low as $35 to $45. How you do anything is how you do everything. So I realized, oh yeah, okay, no, don't hate the game, play the game. Is that all there is? Like, is there any point in me themselves trying to start a clinic or business on their own, right? So the bigger picture is creating a business like an asset, where literally I can sit here only because it's pretty much self-running, and most people, they don't work on that. He contributes to only 1%, and he's someone who worked his way from being an employee of this clinic to being the sole director and owner. That really stuck with me. It is actually possible, and that just got me going.
Hi everybody, I'm Nicholas, founder of Titan AI, here with Leo, founder of DMA. And today we have a very special guest again. He is one of the pioneers of Singapore physio scene and clinics. I think hosting or ranging of over 7 to 8 clinics as of the most recent edition as well. Making his brand, Heartland Rehab, one of the most, if not the most, in Singapore. It's with great honor and pleasure to announce Mr. Bala onto our podcast today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. So I always had interest in the medical profession. So I mean, if as I was a kid, if you asked me what I wanted to be, it was either going to be a pilot, because I had a airplane like mole on my thigh. So my grandmother told me that, okay, this boy is going to be a pilot. So that's kind of stuck in my head. And I did try to pursue that route. But otherwise, I always wanted to be in the medical field, where I really enjoyed helping others, creating an impact in different people and their lives and so on. So I guess doctor was the default. Of course, my grades didn't quite make the cut, and just going overseas to study was not in the budget. Especially, I don't come from a very well-to-do family, so that was a difficult decision to make, to go overseas to study. So, and then I chanced upon physiotherapy as a profession from my friend, and literally I was in NS, figuring out what to do next. Waiting for the ORD and still unsure what to do. And then my friend told me about this course, and interestingly enough, there was even scholarships where you can be entitled to, and I thought it was just a great opportunity, and I just went with it, and I got a scholarship, bonded in the public hospital for a couple of years, and then ventured out on my own, and no regrets since then.
What was your time like in the government or public healthcare?
It was great. So it was a lot of learning. So we were actually one of the pioneer staff based in Teng Phong. It was a brand new hospital that was going to be built up. So we were housed in Alexandra Hospital at that point in time. So you were involved in a lot of startup-like operations. You are trying to helping set up processes and going through training for new CRMs like Epic. And you have to be the one that teaches other new staff coming on board as well. So a lot of learning in that sense, and also different pace of life. So when we were housed in Alexandra Hospital, it was very chill, because it wasn't like a full
Sweet.
big hospital, right? So patient load was low. So you have a lot of time to interact, to do your own self-learning, attend courses, and so on. And then you move to the brand new hospital, and then it's just really full on, right? And a different pace of life, and you get an opportunity to rotate into different specializations as well. I think most of us know physiotherapy as the guy running into the field in a soccer match, right? But there's so much more to it.
True.
And public hospitals really gives you the full spectrum of how you can value add people's lives in different ways.
Yeah.
Could be all the way from like a newborn infant, all the way to someone in the ICU who's struggling to
Breathe.
right? So and your interventions can have a profound impact on their lives as well.
What was the most impactful or meaningful thing that you've learned throughout your rotations?
I think the most meaningful thing that I've gathered from all the different rotations is that you end up liking every rotation. Okay? And then you ask yourself, actually, why is that so? Because every time I finish a rotation, I tell myself, oh, this is where I want to specialize. Because it was really good, it was very fulfilling. You really enjoyed making that impact in these people's lives and so on. But then you come to realize that it's not so much that specialization, but I think it's just the profession itself that allows you to do good, which is what I basically learned. That you can be in any of these specialization and you still enjoy your job every day. Yeah.
What about for newly grad physios, like freshly graduated, and they're listening in, wanting some advice on like which kind of routes to go for? Should they just try it all? They're a bit lost. How would you advise them?
So definitely, I think if they have an opportunity to go into the public sector and experience the different specializations that can value add people's lives, I think they should definitely do it. And you don't have to jump into a certain niche or specialization too early, which is what I would advise. Because every rotation and specialization, you pick up different skills. So, for example, I was in the ICU, and it's a different ballgame altogether. Like I said, it's not like running and doing big things, but just managing the lines. A person can be connected to like 6 to 8 different lines coming out of them, and for you to even get them out of bed, half the time you spend figuring out how to how to position the different lines.
Wires.
Yeah, so that they don't get unplugged during your treatment. That's so meaning that you have to set up before you can even do something, right? Which I think it's a valuable tool to understand and learn. So now in my MSK sports practice, even for myself, say, oh, today this guy will come in. You don't like wait until he comes in. You prepare beforehand. You set up the things that is required. All this, likely, I feel I probably learned it from the different experiences gathered from the different specializations. So if ever opportunity, I would highly advise to go through that route, even though it may often they will tell me, oh, I don't want to waste time. I already know sports is what I want to do. But I think they're missing the bigger picture, the different skills that they're going to gather through this. Not saying that even for myself, I also knew that sports MSK is probably my end goal. And getting there, so you have to do compulsory rotations within the hospital itself, right? Doesn't mean that you cannot still show your interest in your eventual specialization.
Yep.
So for myself, I found the boss of the HOD of the department and basically asked, is there anything that I can do to already start value adding to that department? So, don't hate the game, play the game, right? And yeah, soon enough, she kind of reserved the spot for me when I finished my rotation, and I did my last rotation in that specialization, meaning that I saved 6 months because I don't have to finish something else and then come in, right? So all these things, you can play to your advantage as well. Yeah.
So lots of pre-planning and also communicating your desires with your superiors and so on will be very useful for them. Right. How long or when did you know that, okay, maybe I've worked enough years in public healthcare, maybe it's time for me to set up my own clinic? How did that come about?
Great question. I think that one is my experience, and another thing is what I would generally advise. So I guess from my own experience, I was bounded by the fact that I had to stay in the hospital for 4 years because of my scholarship, right? So that was the earliest I could come out. You can come out earlier and pay the bond, and people do that, but not a wise decision. So that kind of steered me into the minimum period, right?
Yeah.
So even for myself, it was there's never likely the best time, right? So if an opportunity arises and the younger you are, that's probably the time that you have the least commitment,
The risk.
the least risk as well. What's your worst case scenario, right? If I
Fail.
ask myself, yeah, correct. If this fails, yes, you probably lost some money. Can you recoup it?
Yep.
Probably can. You may lose some relationships. Can you make amends? You're not unlikely to be married at that stage yet. All fine, right? So just thinking of the worst case scenario lets you kind of make that leap, make that jump. And I told myself, worst case, I just go back to my hospital or ask. At that point, there are many clinics that were hiring. It's either this or that, right?
Yeah.
So that's my own experience. So, but also what I often tell people who ask me the same thing, when is the good time? There's no best time, right? So if you feel the urge, go, try, fail, better still get coaching so that you can learn the ropes a bit quicker and faster, which is something that I wish I had back in the days.
Yep.
So even deciding on my first unit, I chose differently by you, right? But yeah, there's never a best time. Just try and if it's in you. So a lot of times I feel that being an entrepreneur is something that's somewhat innate as well, right? And a couple of you guys, the things I hear that you guys are doing, it's almost pre-built, right? You were likely never gonna,
Stay as employee.
right? And similarly, I see that in people who even come in looking for a job, and I literally sometimes I just tell them, hey, you will likely be better off on your own. You have ideas and things that you want to implement. Sometimes it's just not the right fit, or it may just not be in your desire to build someone else's dream.
What was the biggest challenge for you coming from public to private?
The biggest challenge coming from public to private is that you come in with zero skills to run a business. It's, the school system, nor your public healthcare system
Teaches you that.
Nothing, right? Sales, marketing, business development, even real estate, like how to find a place, how to negotiate, nothing, right? So you literally start from zero, which is funny because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave, because I did not feel challenged enough. And this is the other extreme where you come in with zero knowledge of all these things and you have to figure it out, you sink or swim. Yeah.
Wow. What about in the sense of, because for me, when I was doing my degree in the UK, I felt when I came back to Singapore to do my time in a private clinic, it was the sales bit that I think challenges most physios, especially, when you're in a public sector, you're fed patients, but in private, you have to keep them, you have to entertain them. It's not so much about how much you know, it's maybe half of it, but the other half is just, convincing them that you're the right person to handle this kind of patient. Was that something that came to you naturally? How did you build upon your interpersonal skills for this?
Great question. And I think often in the healthcare space, the word sales is taboo, right?
Icky, right?
Yes. Yeah. People think, why are we talking about sales when we are in this profession that just out here to do good, being altruistic in some sense, right? So I would like to rephrase that to, instead of saying that you are doing sales, is how much of value that you show to the people that you are serving, right? So you can be the best, but if they don't feel that you are giving them value, which is essentially sales, right? It's not gonna show any results. Like, so for myself, I think some of the things that helped me make that transition into the private, so even in the public sector, I was one of the few that was very on the ball with getting reviews. So I mean, you work in a hospital, there's no like Google page for you to put
Stuff I start,
yeah. So but they do have like a form. Literally, they have to sit there and fill up. And and there's an award ceremony for like, there's a bronze, silver, gold, and there's a few others. So basically, I got them all because I had the most number of reviews month on month, consistently for many months, and that kind of like it's not much point thinking that you are doing good when the market doesn't seem like or shows you that you are, right? So it's just getting that feedback loop and
Validation.
and building the relations with all my clients. Many of them I know for multiple years. Some of have become friends. So I think that often helps with the transition into private or thinking about it in a sales aspect, which is actually just how much value you are showing to your clients.
Yeah. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I like the whole ethos of Heartland Rehab. You always tend to see previously, like many years ago, before the physio scene is as developed as it is now, that it was only meant for like, expats or like more affluent areas. So when Heartland came about and it chose, places like that were more accessible, especially for people staying in HDBs or couldn't really afford really, really expensive treatments, that became a very good alternative. And seeing as though how it's been quite a successful model and you've scaled in that way, it's a reflection of how much the market really appreciates that as well. Coming on to some of, I guess, the operations and systems of the clinic.
Yeah, like what would you say is like a typical mistake that someone is making in like how they manage the business? Like for example, they can be working like a lot of hours just working in the business versus working on the business. How would you advise him? Yeah.
Good question. So I do have a few mentees and even physio friends who come and seek advice, and that's one of the questions that they ask. Like, because most people start a business usually asking for three things: time, money, and freedom, right? And then there are people who work in businesses and they have bosses who initially started the business with this three in mind. But they, as their employee, can see that this never happened for them. They don't show that they actually have more time than before because they are probably working the hardest and the longest in the clinics, right? Money-wise, I guess they don't have a view to that, but it's not going to be tangible, right? They don't see them coming in with Aston Martin, so they know that it's also limited, right? And the third thing is freedom. Again, if something happens, if two of their staff leave, right, they have to work doubly hard than what they're already putting in. So essentially, literally, like I have physios working for people in private clinics ask me, is that all there is? Like, is there any point in me themselves trying to start a clinic or business on their own, right? So what I advise them is, I show them the other side. So I mean, for myself, I get to choose how many hours that I want to work, only because my clients will not let me off, right? So I only service my old clients, or unless they come to me referred by name, meaning let's say Leo, you say, oh, hey, you see my friend, blah blah blah. I say if you can fit in my schedule,
Sure.
more than happy to help, right? So they come and fit in, or certain doctors, they say, oh, see this guy, second opinion, or so on. Right, but otherwise, I protect a lot of my time to do things like this and so on and so forth. And then in terms of the money wise, I do fairly okay month to month. But I think the bigger picture is creating a business like an asset, right?
Yeah.
Where literally I can sit here only because it's pretty much self-running, right? And most people, they don't work on that at all. They have to be constantly the one
Pushing,
answering every phone call, fighting every fire, and so on and so forth, right? And lastly is the freedom to do the things that you love. No, freedom doesn't mean that you don't do anything, right? It's doing what you want. Like for example, now I was sharing that we are trying to move into more long form content for even our clinics, and if it's someone else's, if it's a business that I'm not working on, all that wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to push through my ideas because, to be honest, there's no immediate ROI on all of this, right?
Mm.
It's a long game. You know, you get to actually fulfill some of your wishes.
True.
And I also subscribe to this concept of building a business with a vision large enough so that people in your business can fit in their own goals and visions into yours. Right. So those are the things that I would often advise people thinking about starting their own business or already having started. Maybe they are a one-man show or there are one or two other staff within their clinics. Yeah.
Would you say like starting a business is extremely challenging, extremely risky, and you know how would you help newbies like reduce that risk and that challenge of starting?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, for sure, I think starting a business, there's risk involved. It is challenging, and some people crave that challenge. That's why they want to start a business in the first place. In terms of minimizing those risks, so you don't have to. People think that they are often they might be mistaken that they are the first one to have this idea to create something, but 99% of the time, someone has done it. There's people already in your industry, and out of that percentage, there might be 1 to 5% of people who are doing extremely well. So you just have to replicate what they do. You know, it's as simple as that. So, like, don't go about doing things that you think will work. Just listen to what the market has said. These guys are successful for a reason. Go in and dig and dive deep into what has made them successful, which is literally what I do, right? I go onto other people's websites. I look at their Google pages. I see what kind of people they hire, what kind of programs they run, and make that 3 to 5% changes in that. And yeah, pretty much you are replicating success. Of course, the next thing you can do is get a mentor who's been there, done that, walked the road, and get advice. So I, even till today, I meet up with so many different clinic owners, both in Singapore and overseas, and I learn something different every time, right? And I get to implement that within my own business. I speak to other business people from different sectors and industries, and I learn something different as well, right? So, yeah, even just going, for example, like going to like 7-Eleven or Kmart or wherever you are, right? So even looking at how it's being designed and set up, for example, can give you ideas of, oh, maybe my reception counter, perhaps I should be placing certain products there. Like there's a reason why these big guys do it in a certain way. So there's always something to learn, and I guess keeping your eyes open and always looking for things to learn is going to reduce that risk. Yeah.
Modeling your competitors, finding a coach, you know, competitor research. Yeah, that's so important.
I mean, I don't view it as competitor. Yeah, I think that is, people I feel that people are often mistaken that one, they are novel to this idea.
Yeah.
Two, the market is saturated, right? Chances are nobody knows this industry exists. Nobody knows these businesses exist. Nobody knows you exist, right? So you're not competing. You are just getting a little bit more of the market share, which is abundant.
Yeah.
I like that mindset. Speaking of like, you know, the successes you had now, but when you started out struggling, didn't know anything, had to put out so many fires on your own. Talk me through how that was like for you. Like your first year of opening up your first outlet. What was that like?
It was crazy. It was crazy. Like came in zero experience. I had my first staff quit within like a couple of weeks. Right. So because I wasn't actually physically there to get things done, and he was a great guy. Right. We are still in touch. And it was just me, and I didn't know how to get people to come into my business. Thankfully, I had some support from some of the good work that I've done in the past, from other
doctors.
More from the rugby scene. Yeah, because I've been involved in it for the longest time.
Yep.
So I have like a network there that supported me at that early stage. Super grateful and thankful for. But otherwise,
self-taught.
Sorry?
Was it mostly self-taught? Any mentors that you had at the time?
Zero mentors. There weren't many people in that space at that point in time, all willing to
share.
speak
Yeah.
or share. which was, I think maybe it's a mindset shift these days. More people are willing to open up. Um, I took on another part-time job.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I worked back to the hospital.
Wow.
3 days a week. I did it for 6 months. Very low pay, but it allowed me to pay my rent, put food on the table.
Runway a bit.
Yes, and I saw clients for free. I saw clients for as low as $35 to $45. Yeah, it did everything and anything to get by. I had like pimple outbreaks all over, even just communicating with my partner. There was a lot of tension and stress because every month you're struggling to pay rent.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it was a struggle. Yes.
I saw as well your partner. So how did you guys meet? Like, how did this whole idea come about?
So I'm very grateful and thankful that I do have an amazing business partner. So we are in the same batch in school, right? So, but we weren't close then, and then we worked in the same hospital as well. So there was a point where certain opportunities came, and we were kind of in that space where we can do more than just being in the public sector, right? So the opportunity came, and we saw that it was lucrative at that point in time. Of course, you only see the good stuff. You don't see everything else, which when it finally unravels, the the actual
mess,
right? Yeah. So went in blind. So we figured, okay, you know what? Let's try it out. If it fails, we go back to our previous jobs, right? Whichever it is. So I took a leap of faith, and here we are. Yeah.
What would you advise someone choosing a partner? Any criteria, checklists you look out for the same way you have done with your business partner?
Yeah, great question. So I think anyone starting out their first big business, or especially when you have brick and mortar business where there is all these investments and so on, I think I feel it's recommended to have a partner. I recommend going in with a partner than going solo for a few reasons. One reason is you are held accountable for the decisions that you make.
True.
You don't just wing it and go with your thoughts. You have to substantiate with some form of proof. You have to say to your partner, hey bro, I feel that we should go in this direction. We need to do this. We need to spend on this, blah, 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 because this, right? If it's just you wake up one day, you decide to buy a full podcast setup in your clinic, you can do it. But do you have any market research? Probably not. Okay, so I think that really helps with the foundation, and you get to hash out all these different ideas, and you fail quicker rather than trying something for a prolonged period when people don't tell you the actual news. Right? They sugarcoat. Say, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea, do it. But probably behind the scenes, they are waiting for it to fail, right? So whereas your partner who's invested with you will tell you upfront, like, bro, that sounds like an extremely bad idea. It sounds good in your head. Give it a few days, I think you will get over it, right? So I think for those reasons, having a partner, I think it's very important going in. And you're asking about what are the criteria to look for and choose. Sometimes you don't get to choose per se, but I guess if you're already having those conversations, you may have already fulfilled some of those checklists and criteria, which often comes down to morals and values. Right? How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So for like very basic example, if you are someone who tells lies, right, for whatever reason, right? So hey, why are you late today? Gives you some
BS.
Yeah, you know it's BS. Chances are they are gonna lie to you at some stage, right? So it's not a value that fits with me. So I think you really have to know that person and ask yourself to do his or her morals and values align with yours, and the second point would be, are they willing to put your relationship with them above the business? Right?
No egos.
No egos. Yeah, you're not. Even today, like I have a few partners in my other businesses, and we often say, I mean, we don't have to say at this point in time, but the whole idea is me saying this or doing this, it's not for my sake, it's for the business sake, which we are equally part of. So if you feel this idea is good for the business, we go with it. If otherwise, you have to convince me, right? Or I have to convince you. And we are okay to be convinced, right? So I think that's the mindset you have to go in with, or knowing that this person has a similar frame of mind coming in. Yeah.
Quick one before I let Leo dive in. How would you then set up the split? Like, for example, okay, this guy is good at sales, or he can get doctor referrals, or he's a doctor himself. How do I split my equity with this guy? You know, how do you value this kind of things?
Yeah, excellent question. So I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with as well. The simple answer is you will never know how much this person is worth, right? So at the start, if you are going in with a partner with like a brick and mortar, I think 50-50 is the easiest. Although at many points in time, especially at the start, you will feel that it's very uneven. You probably feel it, your partner probably feels it, but you have to just push through, because there will be a point in time where you require your partner's help just as much as your partner required your help at different stages in life. Right? So I think that it's hard to put a number to it. You have to trust your partner and put the relationship above everything else.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, business you can start another business, but you can't get a partner with aligned morals and values with you again. Right? It's going to be a hard find. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about because given starting your own clinic is so difficult, then would you advise maybe someone to just buy over an existing business instead?
Good questions as well. So I think this is something that we are not aware of, right? So it is a possibility you can buy over other businesses, especially in Singapore. There are quite a few websites. So I actually went down that route to find out and realized that there are actually not many what I call like a broker websites and places where you can actually list your business for sale. And there's also some taboo and perhaps some embarrassment behind it, where someone openly, publicly wants to declare that they want to sell off their business. Although I have come in touch with numerous people who want to sell, and they will either PM you, there's no listing, no nothing anywhere, and a lot of exchanges, or sometimes it doesn't happen because you are only exposing yourself to a very small group of people, whereas if you put it out there on the internet, you likely will find more people. But I think more people should take over other businesses, because literally I have an offer at this point in time. Anyone is interested, let me know. It's a beautifully done up clinic with I think 4 or 5 rooms right in the heart of town. And the business wants to fold. There's 1 year left on the lease, and letting go. I can share it's $10,000 in rent, right? So, but and there's a couple of equipments in already, but not much gym equipments and stuff, which you can also get it on a higher purchase and so on. So you realize that actually a startup cost becomes very little, because most of the costs will come from the deposits that you have to make, the renovation that you have to do, and then eventually getting a database of clientele and so on, right? And I have ever even bought a contact list from a business that closed, right? Which I didn't end up not using it because I wasn't exactly sure on the TPA rules, but I literally did it. I bought over other people's business that closed website because there was still traffic coming through. So I channeled the traffic to my website. These are small things that you can do as well. So if you're taking over an existing brick and mortar space, it's amazing because people already know this service was provided in this location, and you're just stepping on. If you can get hold of their past network of database, even better. You start off with some help already, and you don't have to spend exorbitant amounts on renovation. So I highly recommend. But I feel the only problem is it's hard to find because you're not in that circle, right? So I have literally have 2 or 3 people reached out to me in the past couple of months who either want to exit their business or they've already existed now. They have a dormant space for people to take over. Yeah.
Right. So, but the amount of money that you have to invest to buy a business, like, would that be better off just renovating your own, building your own website and everything? Or would it be still worth it to buy over?
At least from the recent offers that I have been given, it's not easy to, especially in my niche, to find someone to take over a very niche business, right? So like an operator, it's fine, few, right? So you have a lot of negotiation power, right? So meaning you don't have to give up much. You can negotiate a lot of terms to your favor, because one, they just want to offload this expense at this point in time to you. So you will get quite a good deal rather than setting up yourself and learning all the hard failures to get to a certain stage.
New system, everything.
Exactly. Yes.
If you could turn back time with all your knowledge now, like, how would you have started your first clinic differently?
So it's a chicken and egg thing, right? So would I change things that if I could go back in time? I probably wouldn't, because I think I learned a lot of things through those failures. If I had started out perfectly, maybe it would have not be as fruitful, right? At least for myself, because as I shared, one of the reasons I left the public sector was to be challenged, right? So I really appreciated the lessons learned and just not giving up, right? I think that's the end goal. But would I do things differently to some extent? I think yes. If the knowledge I have now, I can just plug and play, perhaps I would scale a lot quicker, a lot faster, fewer money spent on mistakes. For sure, yes.
What are some of these like biggest mistakes that if you could rewind time, you would avoid those? Or biggest lessons that you've learned using those failures?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so. There was a point in time where we were about to open a new clinic, and we got into quite a bit of trouble with the landlord, right? So because we were misinformed by the agent who was representing the space that we were about to rent, and so we had to basically cancel the contract, get out of it, and the other side was obviously asking us to pay as if we had signed, but they did not fulfill certain parts of their deal. So that's why we felt that we had a right to, we call it, rescind the contract altogether, which we eventually did. So, but it was a very long drawn process, mediation, negotiations, and end of the day, we were ill-informed by the agent, right? So much so I had so much remorse or whatever you want to call it, because I have at that point I've already been in negotiations with multiple tenancy agreements, landlords and projects and so on. So I kind of know the space. So for me to be misinformed by an agent was quite harsh, right? So much so I went to take the real estate exam.
Wow.
I just told myself,
Never
like,
again.
what? Yeah, correct. Yeah. So one is for my own learning and to actually to really understand, should this agent have known this, right? And true enough, it should have, because I literally went through the whole course, used my SkillsFuture to attend the full course, took the exam papers. There's 2 papers to pass. I passed one on the first try. Second one, I attended it 3 times, and then you got to do it within the 2-year mark. And then things happen. You get busy, do not continue. So maybe one day I might go back to it. But yeah, that was the literal, like, I think those lessons made me learn something even more. I went through the whole series of things I need to learn when you want to get a property, right? Or rent a property even. Yeah.
what about now that you have amassed some wealth and capital throughout all these years building Heartland Rehab? For owners who have that luxury, would you recommend renting or buying a clinic? A unit, sorry.
Renting or buying a unit. Okay. So in Singapore context, I think the disparity between the amount you pay to rent versus the amount you pay to buy, it's not close. So meaning it's going to cost you a lot more in terms of both your down payment and your mortgage to actually buy the space that you are renting. So I think in the Singapore context, renting is still the way to go, and the landscape is so diverse and it's ever changing. Like for one moment, this mall can be busy. Next moment, it's dead. COVID, yeah, whatever sentiments, right? So, whereas in different parts of the world, it's different. Like I speak to clinic owners in Australia, and I know this guy. He has, I think, 30 over clinics. Yeah, amazing. And he was telling me that most of the clinics
He owns. Wow.
right? But it's a different sentiment and market altogether because they don't charge as much as we do in Singapore, right?
True.
Like half the price, right? And saying that's how much people are willing to pay. So the only way to actually for him to scale is to buy, and it's a lot cheaper compared to Singapore to buy land and space. So that's what he does. That's how he amasses like growth in his companies. Yeah.
And maybe touching on a bit more personal matters as well, because I think you were one of the first few pioneers who've really grown into this scale, and we can't ignore the racial aspect of it as well. Do you feel like you have had any challenges being an Indian in this space, being perceived by majority Chinese Singaporeans throughout your whole startup to where you are now?
So I think definitely being a minority in Singapore, starting a business, it's challenging. And personally, I feel it's harder than being a majority race in Singapore. So there were a lot of struggles even in the aspect where there is also some preconceived racial stereotypes as well, which I've been the subject of racist comments, even just blatantly telling me their racial perception.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, usually I don't do business with Indians because I think they are a snake."
Wow.
But you are an exception. Like a backhanded compliment. Of course, I never end up doing any kind of business with these people, or I've gotten into meetings. Yeah, in Zoom meetings where the other person is just smoking on the other side, just complete disrespect.
Yeah.
Right. So I or even networking with people, referrers, and so on. And yeah, sometimes I'm grateful for their support, but you can see that you do get
the in-groups
yes
recognition.
yes
Yeah.
right, which is the game, right? So again, I don't hate the game so much so even though there's all these hardships, which is I'm also grateful that my partner is of a different race, which I think it personally I think it helps a lot. And sometimes we go into meetings and I say don't hate the game. It is what it is. You might be a better one to take the lead on this. Some others maybe I would. Yeah, so you play your cards. Even so much so to the extent like when I first started out, so I realized, I tend to get maybe certain demographic of people because of my race.
Yep.
I double down on it. Right. So I
used it to stand out.
Yeah, I ran my own Google ads. I literally, use my race as a reason for them to
remember
and to make myself a niche. Because there were people looking for attributes related to my race, right? So for example, I can speak a few Indian languages, right? So people might be looking for physiotherapists who can speak Tamil or Hindi.
Yep.
That's my Google ad, and it was performing the best.
I love it.
Right, so I guess taking some of those hate or struggles and just flipping it around, know that it is what it is. Yeah.
That was really nice. Like, thanks for sharing that. It's part of your story as well. I don't think many people touch upon or know about these realities that people go through. Speaking of hate, some people might say, oh, this guy, he's been in SPA, Singapore Physio Association, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they see like, oh, maybe he's pulling some strings to benefit yourself and things like that. What do you say to these kind of haters or comments that you maybe came across?
So what I would say if I were to say anything, it's not say anything. So reason being, you will be hated either ways, regardless, right, of what you do. So even if you are successful, people would say, oh, did this and this to become successful. If you fail, say, oh, he probably did this and this to fail. You don't do anything, oh, he's just being lazy. Whatever it is, right? So I think no matter what you do, you will always be criticized. And I think it's more of a mindset to not take it too hard, which is very difficult. Even today, it's something that I struggle with, people struggle with. Like now, I'm trying to get into the content space. It's
a lot of comments for that as well, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Just always trying to rewind and telling yourself, okay, you have to fight your own inner battles rather than responding. So I think the biggest thing you can do is to not respond.
Right. It empowers them, so you don't do that.
Exactly. Yes. At the end of the day, you are making them feel good because they got what they want. They got a reaction from you.
Yep.
And it makes no one feel any better.
How do you like transition initially from like, being the sole operator of your business to eventually now like you are almost hands off and maybe you only do like the 1% of your entire business? How do you transition from that?
So at the start, basically I am 100% of the business. Everything goes through me. I do everything. I generate all the revenue. So I had a mentor at a certain point in life, and this was someone who had a very successful clinic in Australia. With I think at that point, I could be wrong, more than 30 staff, right? And it was just over like 1 or 2 locations. So and he shared this with me that he contributes to only 1% of his clinic, right? And he's someone who worked his way from being an employee of this clinic to being the sole director and owner, right? So he worked his way up. He's been there for 30 over years. He says he only contributes to 1%. And that really stuck with me because I speak to other business owners, right? And every time we meet up, like I ask them like, oh, how many hours you see clients, how's your day like? We just laugh about it because we can never get out of that grind, right? And that was a period I was in as well, right? So, but then what this mentor told me really stuck in my mind that it is actually possible. And that just got me going, right? Keep asking myself, how do I become 1% of my business, right? And what does it actually mean? Meaning that it's a very stable, successful, profitable business that essentially is running without me, and I do that 1% because I want to do that 1%, right? So it's really a mindset shift, and that is why I got really into setting up systems and processes. Meaning, if we get a complaint, for example, right, saying my session was supposed to be a 60-minute session, but I was let go at the 50-minute mark, right? It's a complaint, right? But instead of thinking, oh, it's just one-off, I don't think it's probably just the client. Instead of thinking like that, I think, oh, what could I have done setting up my business to not have that happen? Right? Simple things. I should have a clock in every room so that my therapist can see the time. Simple things, right? So I don't make it like a one-person issue. I see how I can structure things without me depending on someone to have listened to me to say, hey,
Enforce this.
Yeah,
Wake up.
yeah. Just see them for 60 minutes, right? I could do that, but instead of blaming that one person, I ask myself, what did I do or not do? Right? So I set up a system where, for example, in this situation, it's also something that happened before, right? So now we have clocks in every room. Now we have timestamps. So anyone comes in, there's a check-in time and there's a checkout time in the sense whereby when the bill is sent. Because when complaints like this come through, I have to investigate, right? So if we have all these timestamps, then I also can make a case to whoever it is, or maybe it's an error, or even my staff, for example, in this situation, is to ask this very simple question, right? To let them know, hey, we still have 10 minutes left on the clock. Do you have anything else you would like to address in this time? And you empower the client to say, no, I'm good, that was great, thank you. And they go out, and the expectation is set, right? So these are the different systems and processes that I put in place just for, let's say, one example, and there are many like that, right? So it's always zooming out of these issues and addressing it from a systems and processes point of view rather than a one-on-one personal conflict or tension between that issue. Yeah.
So it might not even be a person problem. It might actually be a system problem, right? Yeah, and we've got to find that balance, right? Like, is this a human error or like a systems error? And then we maybe try to focus on making the system so foolproof that human errors just don't happen. Yeah, because you're dealing so many clients every day, right? And there's bound to be like that 0.1% or 1% of error, but you're always gonna try to reduce the error over time, the error rate over time.
Yes.
Using proper systems like what you've just described, like simple things like the clock, the time in, time out, etc. Right? Yeah.
Correct.
I learned so much from that. Yeah.
So I subscribe to this things which I also got from Alex Mozi.
Yeah.
So whereby why do people don't listen, right? Or why do errors happen? It's mainly because of four things. One, so especially when you start to scale and grow, you start to manage people. Right? They have become the biggest asset, and if you don't know how to manage them well, so for even this instance, imagine me just going up to this person and saying, "Hey, why did you do that? Like, you should have clearly seen that person for 60 minutes instead of 50, right?" Which, trust me, you do that often enough, the person will leave, right? So really going back to this four-step process, ask yourself, does this person know that this has been done this way? Right? Does this person know that every session should be 60 minutes? Or didn't know to begin with? Oh, I was told, it could be between 45 to 60. I didn't know we had to be strict about it, right? So, okay, then now I go about and explain to them that this is how you should have done it, right? So 60 minutes. Next thing is asking, does this person know how to do it? Right? So perhaps maybe this physio or whoever say, I ran out of things to do. I didn't know. So for example, then I say, if you do, then that's fine. Use the statement, ask them whether they want to do anything else in between, right? And they still don't do it. Then you ask yourself, did I give this person enough resources to make this happen? Right? Perhaps maybe the staff will say, yes, I knew I should do it. I know I should use that line, but I just didn't have the script. I didn't have the modality. I didn't have access to something, right? Okay, or I didn't have a watch, right? That's a resource by itself, right? Okay, fine. Okay, now we have a watch, a clock in each room, and this is the script, exact line you can put on the table, and so on, right? So these are the three things that is something that I can do to change this error. The last being, it's a person problem. So you have done all this as a boss, and it still happens. Maybe it's a person problem. But before going to that, you have to keep asking yourself, how can I do things to improve this situation from my standpoint, my systems and processes? And that's going to also create an environment whereby I'm hoping it shows that the boss is looking after you rather than always coming at you with a
critique.
Yes.
Yeah, I might have watched that video before.
For sure.
Yeah. How do you raise like the enterprise value of a clinic? how hands off should like the owner be to be able to like sell it for a good price?
Great questions. I think it should be quite universal in general in a sense. So I think the less you are a face of it, the higher the value, because as someone coming in to buy, and there have been quite a few transactions in recent time where there are VCs, there are groups, doctor groups, medical groups coming in to buy these clinics, and they want to be able to go in and continue as if nothing changed, right? But for that to happen, you cannot be the highest revenue generator of the clinic, number one, right? You have to be a lower percentage, because eventually they would want to remove you, right? So if you are saying that, I make up 80% of the revenue, then they know for a fact that they got to keep you there for many years, right? Which is something that they do not want, and they will likely value you for lesser, right? So I think trying to 1%, even up to today, I'm not at 1%. It's something that I'm trying to grow towards it. And the 1% does not mean that you must be doing lesser. It could be a percentage, right? So meaning that your business has grown 99%, then you become 1%, right? You dilute it, but you're still doing the same work, right? So I guess the closer you get to that point, likely you're going to be more valuable in the market.
Tell us more about like your 7-figure physio blueprint, program. What can a potential client expect to get from this?
So for myself, I've been helping business owners, coaching them and giving them advice on a pro bono, very ad hoc basis for multiple years now. People reach out, hey, grab coffee. I have no idea why. Say, okay, I say yes. But turns out, they want to start a clinic, they want to have advice and so on. And even within our brand, we have, I have had 3 joint venture clinics. I have another partnership that I have a gym with. So I guess through all these experiences, I am already providing coaching to these people. And I often encourage a lot of my staff to, if they feel ready enough, let's do something together and push them to do bigger things. So always been doing that, right? So I guess it came to a point whereby I wanted to see whether there is a bigger market to this. There are more people that I can help, right? So for example, for me, when I got into physiotherapy, that was one of the first few questions, is to create an impact to change lives, right? So I can do that one-to-one, right? I see this person, it gets better, right? Next stage is I teach a physio to see a client more effectively. So that's me increasing my impact. Next is I have a clinic, a brick and mortar business. I have multiple staff seeing multiple clients. So that's also creating value to more people than I can do one-to-one. Then I guess the final boss is to coach business owners, to coach staff to treat clients well. And to me, I think there's a lot of self-fulfillment in it, and having that mass reach to people. Yeah.
That's like ascending the levels of scale, right?
Yeah.
Over, from one to one to one to many.
Yeah.
Yeah, rising up the levels. Yeah.
What margins would you say is a good level to hit? And if you're comfortable with sharing, if you can give us a range for what Heartland Rehab is currently hitting at. It's also a good flex for your potential clients that might want to see this and think, oh wow, they are doing this amount. I should consult to get myself there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can share what we are doing at this point in time. So, in a general sense, we are doing a couple of million in revenue per year. Okay, and my personal goal is to hit the 8-figure mark, which is what I'm working towards, and we are in this phase where we have to optimize. So we have to continue doing what we do. We got to do all these things better. So that's usually, if you ask me what I spend my day doing, is to look at existing systems, processes. How do I optimize it? How do I make things more efficient to scale from 7 figures to 10 figures within the company? Yes.
In terms of margins, what is that currently looking like, or what is a good goal for clinic owners to have?
Unfortunately, I think the margins for an healthcare business, especially with allied health, it's going to be slim, 10 to 15%. Yeah,
Realistically,
realistically, yes. Um, because your
salaries.
talent pool
Yeah.
is your biggest expense. Then comes your rent. Then comes your whatever systems you have. So margins are slim. So I think that is also why I often coach people to don't focus on the profits per month or your salary per month. Think about creating that enterprise value, and I think that's where the money is.
So you might be looking to exit eventually.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
I see.
How do you like have a balance between like doing more of the same thing versus doing like better of the same thing, and then finally like doing different? How do you identify when you should do more, do better, and then do different in your systems and processes?
So when to know whether to do more, better, or to do different, I guess you have to go through the stages. So at the start, people often try to do different things because they say I've tried this and it didn't work, so I'm going to do this, right? So I'm going to change my whole game plan and all that. But chances are you just have not put in enough reps to do it. So that's where more comes in, and even more, there's a spectrum to it. You may think you're doing more, but as I was sharing earlier, you go and look at the top guys, see what they are doing, right? So you may think, putting up one content a week, it's quite a lot already. Yeah, but people out there doing like 3,000, right, per month on different platforms. You're only on one, for example, right? So I think you have to first have an idea of how much work you're doing. So I think it's if you are so hardworking, I think success is undeniable. So you have to put in the work to do more, and then you reach a certain scale and size, which is much further than you think, right? Only then, like for example, for myself, like currently we are in this optimization phase, you have to reach like multiple millions in revenue per year to even think that, okay, now I need to optimize processes that have been running for the past few years. So you shouldn't underestimate how long things can take, and that's why a lot of people also don't have multiple highly successful business in their lifetime, because it takes a long time to build something great, which is what I recommend people to do. And you don't have to be different, right? You don't have to think that the market is saturated. It's not. Whichever industry you are, it's likely not saturated. You have to just show the world what you're doing, because no one knows you exist. You got to market yourself, and that's where the more comes in, right? And then more can be also in different variations. For example, just maybe focusing on content. Like you may think, oh, I'm already putting up like 2 posts a day, right? More can come in the version of, are you exploring other platforms? Right? You're still doing content, but in different platforms rather than focusing on one, right? So it's not different, but just more of the same in a slightly different version, right? If that makes sense.
So how important is content to you right now? Like, you are building, I guess a personal brand, is that correct? And building the brand of your business. How do you see content like helping you in your business? Yeah.
So content has been extremely helpful, and it's something that I have done since day one, from 2017. And at that point in time, it was an era that's very different from right now, where people were just consuming, right? Not many people are creating content. It was a different age altogether. There was no TikTok. People didn't have like influencers and so on. Maybe to like more celebrities, more than influencers. But I found that it was something that should be done, because, like I said, I don't think anyone knew that I existed, right? So the more content I put up, the more people know, and it was something that it was not trackable. There's no ROI. there's a lot of energy spent,
Mm.
zero ROI, right? And grateful to even have a partner that
Understands.
understands, because on paper I have nothing to show. Okay, why do I need to do that, right? So take it upon yourself to do it. But that was early days, right? And of course, these days I have agencies, I have people helping me do it. And I'm even constantly trying to make it better. So at the stage where we are trying to optimize, make things better quality, better value for people, creating assets around content itself. So I think that's where we are. And then I think I have first-hand experience of clients coming in to tell us, oh, I'm here because I saw your content on this platform, that platform. I on your emails, I found it of value. I shared it with my friends. Someone shared it with me, right? You finally see it after what, 8 years now, right? A very, very long game, and you got to trust the process.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that a lot of new clinic owners put aside. So they're often very focused on B2B. They're focused on word of mouth. You have to put in time and effort into creating content in this time and age.
I think that's so inspirational for like a lot of new business owners who are starting out. They don't see the ROI short term, and it's like so much work to be done. But I think what you said can be really quite inspirational for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Melvin also was touching on this just now earlier on in our earlier podcast. He was saying like, funnels don't work like they used to anymore. So sometimes customer behavior has changed so rapidly these days. You have to put out some value, some way to get people to know you, trust you before they buy, right?
Correct.
So if you're not putting out content, you're losing to the guy who is doing the content.
Yes.
So how are you optimizing your content workflow now? Are you like doing long form and then you clip it to short, or how does it work for you?
Okay. So currently, for content-wise, so we were quite focused on improving our Instagram followers and views and whatnot. So that was most of the work that was being done in the past. And now we are moving into long-form content. Right? Like you said, it's because I think in this time and age where everyone is fighting for your attention, you have to focus on the first 3 seconds, to make sure that we have to pull strings just for you to even watch.
TikTok brain.
Yeah, correct. Even though it's so valuable, but the 3 seconds is the most important, right? So I think everyone is fighting for that. People already know, even though people still fall for it, but they know that I am being fooled to watch this short form content because the 3 seconds was of someone falling down from the stairs, right? For example, right? So, and meaning that people have no trust, right? So places where they actually feel that a certain brand or person can be trusted is when they're having raw conversations, maybe such as this, in long forms where things are not scripted. I'm not putting a
Show.
Yeah, I'm not falling down for no reason, right? So I think that's where people's perception is moving towards, and we have to play the game and show them the value in longer form content. And Instagram maybe serves more as a funnel, channel them to the long form by having cut up pieces of it.
Like YouTube channel, like a YouTube channel,
Yes, YouTube
right?
channel. Yes,
Okay.
our YouTube channel has been very passive in the past 2 years, although we had it for 5 years now. I believe we have about 500 plus subscribers, which zero work. So I just repurposed my Instagram videos to YouTube. So zero effort, 500 plus subscribers. People commenting, which we don't even respond to because we don't even go in. But here onwards, we are putting more effort into it and keen to see where this goes.
For your perspective, it makes sense, but maybe not for the staff. So how do you convince their buy-in? Like, how do you convince one of the physios, hey, I need to fall down, can you, you know what I mean? So how do you get their buy-in then?
Great question. So I think managing people, having a vision big enough to fit theirs, have to come into play. So I guess you have to have honest one-to-one conversation. And the best part about all this, right? So even your staff, right? When they come in, they already know you are a brand that's going to be putting out content. So if you are joining us and you're saying that, no, I don't want to be a part of any of your content.
Wrong company.
Yeah. So there are many other clinics. Go ahead. So I think that in itself acts as a filter. So most of the guys are great. We have a quite low attrition. They're all, I guess, quite happy to be with us, right? But I guess getting it right from day one, right? So just being upfront, be it even having a conversation in the interviews, contracts, and so on. So I think that helps to set the tone and expectation. So the worst thing you can do is get the wrong person in and you spend all your time convincing this person. So I think that helps. Second is having that one-to-one conversation about it's not compulsory. This is the value that it can give you, the reach that clients and whatnot. And if you're saying that if you don't need it, if you are successful on your own and you have your own methods, show me. That's completely fine, right? So you have to showcase where your strengths are, right? So I think it's always a two-way conversation. It's nothing. It's dictated on
them. How about staffing and interview processes? What is that like for Heartland Rehab? How do you choose? Okay, this guy's a great fit. This guy's best physio.
So I think we are grateful to be at a point whereby we have people applying to us all the time, and that's also because we have done a lot of groundwork, even in the hiring aspect. So there's a whole module altogether on just creating the system. So these days there was a time whereby we were strapped for staff, right? The market was really down. There was just no people around. But these days there are a lot of good guys wanting to come to private.
Yep.
But doesn't mean that they'll be a good fit.
Yep.
Right? So we have 3 stages of interview to go through, and we both have to decide that we want each other. It's a good fit.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the current interview process. Yeah, we have 3 rounds to go through for both of us to decide. And sometimes it's a time race because they are also getting offers from others, and
True. It's competitive space. No?
competitive space, and others, they are possibly not as picky because they have 1 round of interview and they can get in. They might get a more attractive salary on paper, right? And they go for it. That's fine. Yeah. So you would rather hire the right person than the wrong one and struggle for the next few years. Yeah.
So for someone that is watching this right now that wants to apply to Heartland Rehab, like what of advice would you give them for their mindset, for their goals, can they align to your values or what you want to see in a physio?
Great. So I guess things that you can do to align with our morals and values within the company is to be proactive. So people say that just say we want someone to be proactive, right? So what does that actually mean, right? So when let's say you're coming in for the interview, you have to show. So we have people who apply and they say, "Oh, I'm very passionate about MSK and sports, and like physio for like 3-4 years."
Everyone's like that also, right?
Right. And then I said, "Okay, well, what do you mean by that, right?" Yeah. So say I shadowed my senior. I have interest. Blah blah blah. Right. So I look at the CV. There's nothing here to tell me that you have been passionate.
Yeah.
Right. You have to put it into actual experiences. So, for example, you have attended so and so courses. Instead of telling me that because my company didn't send me for the course,
you make it happen.
Yeah. Show me that you're someone that you play the long game. You are really passionate on paper, not just with words.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you have to build yourself to be that someone. If you don't even have like a LinkedIn profile, because when I first started, my LinkedIn profile was literally a space whereby every time I do something, I update.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's
graduated.
Yeah, before that, you should be already doing, ideally, showing the X factor. Because coming from, let's say, being a fresh grad or being from public to private, or from another private clinic to us, you have to show that you have the X factor, right? It's not easy in private. I can tell you that. And again, we do not want the wrong fit, right? So we practice as a first contact practitioners.
Sure.
So you have to hold yourself to higher standards. You have to show that you are, especially in healthcare. The worst thing is we call them dinosaurs, right? You just still practice in the same things that
mindset.
you used to do 20 years ago. Like traction, for example, right? So things have been outdated, things have moved on. You're not using force plates in the clinic. Yeah, and if you're coming in, you don't even know what a force plate is, right? That's not the right mindset or attitude. So I guess in summary is showing that you are keeping up with the times, you are proactive, right, on the paper itself, and be willing to play the long game. Yeah.
I love that. How about in terms of transitioning the business direction now? Because I see the latest clinic as well. It's a bit more neuro for focus, right? Am I right? That one?
Yep.
Yeah. So are you seeing that there's a bit more of a demand there? So you're also catering to that crowd and things are shifting in the space. What's your views on the industry right now?
So the latest clinic we have, it's a neuro-based clinic, so where we see clients with stroke, with spinal cord injuries, and Parkinson's, and so on and so forth. So that clinic came about as a project with a friend of ours. So again, it's empowering physios and people to build a business, to take action, and to write with our expertise and my past experiences as well. So that's how it came about. So I think whether because we are probably one of the few, maybe less than a handful of clinics in Singapore offering neuro services. So the market, I feel, is still very niche and untapped. Which also means that you do not have guys who are super successful in this space to model off, which again is a pros and cons, a bit of a struggle. But I guess that's where maybe the business experience comes in to try to boost this along. End of the day, we want to create value for these clients who we are hoping eventually come to us as well, right? So I think that's so it's not so much a change of direction. I think it still fulfills my vision, which is to help more business owners to have successful companies, to have strong staff who create an impact in many clients.
Yeah. And touching on that, you've also ventured into health and fitness, like gym wise, rather than also just for physio itself. How did that come about?
Great question. So I do run a gym called Athletic Chamber in Upper Serangoon region, Open. So that came about, again, was a conversation with a friend of mine, and who I got to know through rugby, right? So he was I can't remember. So either the assistant manager or one of those positions. Yeah. So we were on a trip to Japan with the women's team. So I had a long conversation with him, and his dream one day was to open up a gym. And I said, why not do it together? And I already had a couple of years of experience running the physio clinic. So we just, and his morals and values align. Great guy. We call him the care bear, so I think he really loves looking after people. So I think we went about, set up a company together, opened a gym, which also went through many hardships. So doing really well, very successful. We just had barbecue get together last night. With the whole team, and it's really grown from the time we started. It's already been about more than 4 years now.
What would you attribute to the success? Because you mentioned, there was some parts where it was struggling as well, and I've seen, I think, some videos done around IQ marketing and how they helped with their digital marketing platform and things like that. So how would you kind of sum up or highlight the ups and downs for that, like what really brought it to where it's at today?
I think most of some of the struggles were around things that maybe we couldn't control. So like the space we were at got en bloc.
Wow.
Yeah. So just as our lease was coming up, thankfully, we had to scramble to find another location and all that, and you think funds that went into the reno, you haven't really covered it back. So I think those were some of the bigger struggles. But I think what has definitely elevated the success was going into paid ads through Ice Cube marketing, which together with a strong team, which my partner Andrew he fosters a community-based, really cares for all these trainers and so on. Really sets a very strong foundation for all these paid ads, clients getting value, having the systems and processes at the back end. It's doing really, really well. I think that's the thing that is successful.
Talking about like marketing, right, and hiring an agency, what was your? I mean, let's just say for a physio clinic owner who wants to market his business, let's just say he has 10K a month to spend on marketing. How would you advise on how he allocates this budget?
Great. So I have been on the end of conversations or questions where physio clinic owners ask me whether it's worth spending this 10K on marketing. And usually the conversation, so I would help them to first identify why they are wanting to spend money on marketing, right? So they say, I want to fill up slots. Then we look into, okay, how many slots do you have available? And sometimes it turns out that actually do not have slots available, right? So their barrier, it's not lack of leads,
Capacity.
right? So I have a mentee, then he's like, oh, you know what, you're right. Did not do the marketing, focus the budget and whatever not on getting the next hire. Then you have space, but if you already have, so I can tell you that I did not do paid ads for the first 5 to 6 years in my company.
Wow.
Everything is organic,
Right.
and I can tell you can grow to 1 million and more in revenue without paid ads. Right? If you do not have the infrastructure and the goodwill, the testimonials and everything in place, if you run paid ads, it does nothing to you. Right? It doesn't. It can be even more harmful than good.
True.
Right? So I think paid ads is something that you should consider at a much later stage. If you have 10K to spend, I can show you so many different things that you can possibly spend on to increase the productivity, the efficiency, and also the value that you are delivering to your clients. So simple things, right? I have business owners telling me that, they can't get their staff to document. It's a big problem in the private physio industry. I have know of clinics who are using Mind Body, which is like more for a fitness trainer. It's like I believe it still probably has a note section.
Right.
There's no template, there's no medical jargons that you can easily fill in and so on.
Okay.
People are still using that, right? So a simple way to spend that kind of cash would be to get a better CRM, to get maybe AI transcribe note takers. That can do, and imagine you give a summary, which is what I do to my clients. After every session, the AI gives you a summary that you can just forward to them. The amount of goodwill the client feels, and for them to refer their friends and families, so much you can do, right? And that one client is going to send you 3 more. And that's why I'm still very, very busy in the clinic. Because of things like that, not so much because we are splurging on paid ads.
You spoke about morals and values, and I've been in the industry probably not as long as you have, but I've seen a lot of unethical players. They play with the claiming systems and things like that. What are your thoughts on companies that do that, and how do you feel that the authorities will actually clamp down on this, or do you actually think this is an issue that they'll be focusing on?
Half deep question. Yes. So, unfortunately, I think the private medical space, I mean, like I said, you've been in the industry long enough. I think you do see a lot of things happening. Not something that we condone. But sometimes it is the game. So a lot of them who take part in such activities, right? So they feel they are providing value to their clients by doing so, right? So there's always, is it illegal? Is it a gray area? How much? So literally, I had a conversation with one of my clients, as well as the staff looking after this client, who was asking us to do certain things to the bill so that they can process the claims and whatnot for for him, right?
Mm.
And literally, because my staff was asking me about this request, right? But I also know the client. So I literally asked her, so you're basically, this person is asking me to put my whole business on the line for your couple of $100.
Yeah. So okay.
So I literally asked my staff to ask this person the question, right? Is that what you're asking me?
Mm.
Right? So we do have strict rules around this because it's just not worth it. And I've been in this industry. There's a lot of quick ways to make a quick buck.
Yep.
Reputation before revenue, right?
Mm.
So your reputation is everything that you're gonna carry through. Revenue is nothing compared to that. So I think you need to protect your reputation and things. There are birds everywhere. They will talk. It doesn't go unnoticed, right?
True.
Things you do, everybody knows, and you got to protect your reputation.
Singapore's really small, so word spreads
Yes.
very fast.
How does one identify like that biggest bottleneck in their business? How do you help your clients right now identify that and then help them to solve or empower them to solve that?
So often, so I think the saying you only grow to your next constraint, right? So you do need to figure out what your constraint is, which is pretty much what the coaching is about.
Yeah.
So often you get blindsided by every other guy you speak to, they will offer you some other advice, like hiring an agency to run ads for you. It's a very easy fix that people can offer. Is it actually a fix? We don't know, right? So I think you do have to ask yourself what you are trying to achieve by doing this, right? Then it's going to unravel another set of questions. Then you go through that questions and you find that, actually, there's another set of constraints. And then you have to tackle it at the deeper layer to go on to the next and the next and the next. And then really ask yourself, so what I have done is I have literally documented every possible way to get leads into a physio clinic. So essentially that's my coaching that I do. And if you are saying that you have 10K to put into marketing, I would first ask you, have you done all of these to get leads? Because essentially running a marketing campaign is to get leads into your clinic, right? But have you done many of these things which require $0? Have you done those first to get to that stage? And a lot of mentees who come to me for help, that's their number one reason, right? They want to get more leads into their clinic. And you just have to go through the levels of constraint to identify where and why the leads are not coming in.
Was there any books that changed your life or your business practices?
So for sure, I think Alex Hormozy is a very big influence in pretty much everything I do, my businesses for sure. So I take, it's pretty much like a textbook. Yeah, so all three series, and excited to see how I can implement the new playbooks as well, and also the money models book that's just been out.
How would you sum up your morning routine in one sentence?
How would I sum up my morning routine?
Yeah. Sometimes I say a bit chaotic with the kids and all that.
So
balancing all this.
Correct. I think in one sentence would be, it is my protected time, right? And if I were to expand further, so every morning or most mornings are in this manner, which I have kind of set it up in such a manner. So I wake up with my kids, so they get up roughly about 7:30, sometimes earlier. Get them ready for school. I drive and drop them off in school. And then I head to the gym. So I do my workout, and then I get back home. I have my breakfast and my coffee, and then I clear my emails, right? So I get and reply to all the text messages, or not all. Okay, some of the text messages I prioritize the text messages. Clear my emails, clear my text messages, and that's pretty much my ideal morning on most days. Yes.
Why would you start with the emails and texts? Is it because like easy small wins or?
So by this time, it's already about 10:30 to 11, right? So I think I get most of my own protected time, things that I really want to do. And that's essentially why you have a business, right? So you can have this kind of protected time.
True.
And why I go through the emails and texts is oftentimes people are waiting for you to give the go ahead to make some business decisions. So the rest of the day, things get moving.
Yep.
Right? So you get it started, and at the end of the day, it's done.
Yep.
Without you having a lot of input in it.
Fair
So I guess that's where I think as a business owner, someone working on the business needs to do to give the green light, yes, no, change this.
Otherwise, you become the bottleneck as well, right? In a way, if you just
Yes,
stop there.
yeah. If everything piles up on you, and things not flowing because you didn't respond, I think that's also a struggle. But you also need to put a second, when you grow to a certain stage, a second tier of leadership, whereby they filter everything out for you first. You only get asked the most important questions.
Fair enough. I see also your eyes light up when you talk about your kids quite a lot. Who are you or what are you doing all of these businesses for? Is it family? Is there a certain goal you want to achieve? Is it for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's So I don't come from a very well-to-do family, so we are quite middle class in that sense. And I guess I'm always trying to, as my parents did, to give your kids a head start, to give them the option or opportunities that you didn't have. And often I think money helps a lot with that, right? So I think creating the best case scenario future for my kids, I think that's the utmost priority and essentially why I do what I do. And my wife as well, of course.
I love that. Favorite Chinese food or custom? Now that you've been quite exposed to our culture as well, right?
This is an easy one for me because I like my Bala Siamko.
Nice.
Yes, and my son knows that as well. Yes. That would be actually my number one favorite Chinese cuisine, if you call it. Yes.
And your favorite condition to treat as a physio?
Knees. So I love
ACL.
I love ACL. Anything with the knee, right? So I think it's a joint that's in between two other joints, which are very mobile to begin with. So they do take a lot of stress and load, and just seeing people who struggle with knee-related issues, if I can change their lives, I think it's very meaningful.
So let's say if someone wants to seek you out for mentorship and coaching, maybe you can share with our viewers like what makes you different from other potential coaches out there.
So the number one difference is the demographic. From as far as I know, there's no one else in Asia doing it. So most other stimulus-based coaches, you'll find them in UK, in US, and in Australia. Literally, I do not know anyone else doing it in the whole of Asia. And having spoken to also physio clinic owners in all these different countries, and even having gone through some of their mentorship programs, I can see that actually the demographic and the challenges and problems that Asian physio or Asian business owners face is vastly different. The market that we address also vastly different. How customers respond, where leads come from, it's all very different. Even things like insurance, they all work very differently in even within Asia, in different parts of Asia. I know for a fact how physio businesses practice in Singapore versus Malaysia is different, because I do have mentees from Malaysia as well. So I think that's going to be the biggest differentiation between other business coaches in the allied health field and me.
Will you think of expanding to other countries, bringing Heartland Rehab over, like some other companies have, or are you mostly focused on Singapore at the moment?
There's no imminent plans to bring it overseas, but of course I do feel that Heartland itself as a brand, and Singapore itself as a brand, has a lot of leverage if we were to bring it overseas. But again, I think the pros and cons will have to
make sense.
Yeah, will have to make sense, right? So I think we are very happy, comfortable where we are. Perhaps once I hit my 8-figure goal,
fair enough. And also at the same time, there's a lot of like flashy new things and trending markets to go into. I think recently it's like longevity or biohacking. Have you also explored the idea, or thought of anything to do with this space, or are you sticking to what you know best, which is, I'm just going to be in physio and gym? Yeah.
Yep. So even for the coaching space, right? So I'm coaching specifically physio clinic owners to excel. So in that sense, I think I like to stay in my lane. Perhaps maybe going slightly left and right of it. Yeah, I think there are many other guys who are more fluent in this space who are doing exceptional things which I can learn from. But anything that I do, I do really want to do it well. And I know to do something really well, you have to do a lot of it where more, better, different comes in.
Yeah.
Right? And it takes a phenomenal amount of time and work. Right? So it would be a different direction altogether.
Fair enough.
So if let's say our viewers want to connect with you and they want to engage you, maybe and maybe a potential physio clinic owner wants to engage you for coaching, how would they be able to connect with you? Maybe you can share like your socials or websites to us.
Sure. Yeah. I think they can reach me on Instagram. It's a Physio Launch Network, right? So that's the Instagram handle. You can also find me on YouTube, Physio Launch Network. I'm starting to put up a few more YouTube content where you can watch long form videos. And the website is sevenfigurephysio.kit, and these are the places that you can find. But Instagram will be the best.
Thank you so much, Bala, for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome chat. Very real and personal, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.